Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to show you a version of how to make baked chicken. I did pick up this recipe from a friend of mine, family member, so I thought I would share. So start off with some chicken leg quarters, some whole chicken leg quarters, sour orange, lemon, 2 limes, and of course a lemon squeezer. And then we're going to start with the cleaning process. So as you can see from here, I am cutting the leg quarter in half. There's a leg, there's a thigh. We want to start off with that because in a sense it makes, a little bit more. And then we're going to remove this piece. You see that piece with the yellow part? You're going to go ahead and remove that because that's where all the veins are at. And me personally, this may be, doing a little extra, but this is how I learned to clean meat. It's the best way in my opinion. So if you're a person who, doesn't care to, to eat the chicken that way, then I'm assuming you can skip this step. But as for me, this is something that I like to do. It can be tedious, but as long as you have some sharp knives, patience, as well as a love for cooking, this won't do you any harm. As you can see, I'm showing you the white part. Those are the veins. Sometimes it can be a little tricky with removing that part, but I'm telling you, over time, the more you do this, the easier. Just be careful with your fingers. So as you can see, I'm continuing the cleaning process, right? So I usually like to start off with the leg because the leg is, it takes more time. It has more veins in it. So, of course, it's going to take more time compared to the thigh. And as you can see here, I'm continuing that process. So you could, leave in the comment section if you did go through this step or have you done this before as far as taking time with cleaning your meat. Is this a part that you hate? Go ahead. Don't be afraid to communicate with me in the comment section. And also wear gloves. I prefer wearing gloves when I'm cleaning meat. I'm sorry. Say what you want to say. But I prefer wearing gloves, especially when it comes to meat, because, like contamination and everything. And I try to minimize that. So now I'm holding it up closer to give you a good look. And this is a part in Creole we call filange. This is where you add a couple slits into the chicken because when it marinates, it can hold the marination. It can, take in everything, soak up everything. So, and I do that for both pieces. And actually, any meat that we cook in my culture, we usually do that because we want it to, really get in there. So, as you can see, I'm continuing the cleaning process with the thigh. The thigh has a lot of fat, and it's good to get all that gunk in the back. You see that? Just take it out. I know, some people may be like, "Oh, this is too much," but I'm telling you, you will appreciate doing this. It makes your food better when it's cleaned well and it doesn't hold any smells. A lot of the time, if meat smells, it's either not good anymore or that person didn't clean it properly. So this is new for me where I am keeping the skin on, some of the skin on. Usually I do tend to remove all of the skin, but like I said, this is a recipe that I wanted to try. And this was my friend's cousin, I believe. Let me tell you something. I tasted that lady's chicken and I almost proposed my damn self. You hear me? No jokes, no games. I was just gonna go to like a bubblegum machine or not a bubblegum machine. What's them machines where they got little fake rings? And I was like, listen, marry me. This was marry me chicken, okay? But she was telling me that when you keep the skin on, it kind of makes the chicken more tender. And like I said, I'm accustomed to removing the skin off and everything. So I wanted to try something new and be like, you know what? Let me try leaving the skin on. Of course, continue the cleaning process, but let me see if this is, if what she's saying is right. And lo and behold, she was right. But if you're a person you don't like the skin at all, by all means remove it. So remember what I told you about, putting the slits in the chicken. You do the same thing with the thigh. This is something I'm learning. Don't do it so deep because when it comes to marinating and all of that, the skin tends to come off when you're gonna see later on in the video. But do it to where the point is still in there, but not too deep, because you don't want the skin to be like removed. You want it to stay intact. So of course I still see some, some things that need to be removed, and I'm continuing that. So after that, I place all of the meat in a bowl, right? I'm just showing you here, okay, if I see anything hanging, I'm going to remove it. Um, and next we have to go ahead and of course add our salt and lime. I don't think I mentioned that previously. Not just the lime. We have the lime, the sour orange, the lemon, as well as the salt. And I tend to put my gloves and chicken to the side, and I'm going to bag it up. Always throw that out, but include it in a bag so it doesn't make your home smell. So this is the sour orange. This is a new technique that she did show me. I usually remove all of the skin, but she advised me to leave some of the skin on, and then I'm going to make sure I collect all that juice. I'm putting my hand under the sour orange so that way I can collect whatever seeds come out. And of course, I'm going to make sure that there are no seeds left in the bowl. But I just go ahead and I squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, get that juice, and make sure that, all the juice. Sour orange is really good when it comes to cleaning your meat. Lime, sour orange, and lemon. We primarily use sour orange and lime, but I thought to be a little extra and use a lemon. I was gonna do the same thing with this one. I'm like, hold on. Now I'm just go ahead and cut that baby in, cut that baby in half. Put it in the lemon squeezer. I don't even know if that's the appropriate name. Let's just say squeezer. The squeezer. And then continue. So I made sure to do it with all of them, but also don't be so quick to throw away the throw it away after squeezing it. Reason being is you're going to use it to take it and to basically bathe the chicken. You see how I'm doing that? You see I'm taking the thigh and then I'm just giving it a good bath. Why? Because you want your chicken to get a lot of acid. Like acid is, basically you want your meat to have that lime and lemon taste. This is a good process. Now, you can choose to leave this overnight and then put the seasonings the next day, or you can let it marinate for 2 to 3 hours and then remove it and then continue the process from this video. But me, what I did, for a recording process, um, I just decided to let it marinate for about 2 to 3 hours. You see that juice, all that juice, that good stuff. And don't forget to add your salt. Salt is just to, assist with the taste. So I'm gonna let it sit for about 2 to 3 hours, and I'm gonna move on to making my epis, right? Epis is something Haitians love to use, a seasoning, a blend of seasonings. I have a video and I'm going to include it in the description box. I have my complete seasoning, my tahini, and of course some more juice. This is some more lime juice as well as my habanero pepper. It was a small habanero pepper. I add water, a little bit of water into there because I want to make sure I use everything. I'm going to put my water to boil because we're going to add it in here. But this is the next day well, not the next day, I'm sorry. After 2 to 3 hours where I remove it and then I go ahead and rinse it with cold water. This is cold water. We start with cold water and then we end up with hot water. So what you're doing is you're removing any gunk that you may see. Just wash it really well and then squeeze the excess water from the chicken. You squeeze the excess water from the chicken because you want it to be seasoned, not, watery. So I take the hot water, pour it on there, watch out, use something to remove the chicken because the water is pretty hot. And this is to make sure it's kind of like a pre-cooking stage, right? And it's killing all the bacteria. So you see, I'm taking the chicken out, the chicken thigh out. I'm also making sure again that once I take it out, it doesn't have excess water. I'm going to move it into another bowl, right? We got what do we remember? We remembered that we want to make sure there's no excess water. And then I'm going to take my epis and I'm going to pour it over my chicken. Pour it over my chicken and make sure that it is well marinated. I like this step. I don't know why. I guess because I know my chicken is going to be extremely seasoned. And then I have my complete seasoning. All of the measurements will be in the description box as well. My tahini, as well as my lime juice. Pour that onto there. And the way she showed me to season this, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. You know, this is pretty cool. Yeah, we give that a good mixing. You hear me? A good mixing. And then that Epis, this is what I used to blend the Epis. I just add a little bit of water because I didn't want any of the seasoning to go to waste, and I poured it in there. And then I had chopped up my habanero pepper and I added in there for a little kick. So if you don't like that kick, you don't have to add the habanero pepper. This is something I did, select to do because I wanted to have that little spice to it, that hit. So afterwards, I'm going to let this sit for another, if you're in a rush, I will let it sit for another 2 to 3 hours. As for me, I let it sit overnight, right? We usually tend to let it sit overnight. But if you're in a rush, you like, listen, I don't have this amount of time to be spending on some chicken, then let it sit for, like I said, 2 to 3 hours. That way you can make sure it's marinated. This is the next day. I made sure to spray my pan and I add my chicken to the pan. I preheat my oven and then I'm going to let it bake for some time, right? Now, what I did do in this step is I did bake, and everything will be in the description box, the degrees I set it on, the time, but I did broil as well. The reason I broiled is because I like my meat to have, I did it on low broil. I like for my meat to have color. And when you broil it, it will still be tender, but it has that color. And this concludes my video. If you have any questions, feel free to, you drop your, question in on my YouTube and we go from there. But tell me if you did try this recipe, how did you enjoy it? Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe.